Hey folks, how's it going? Ty here, Bench Score Media. I hope you're having an awesome week or weekend whenever you're watching this. So as you know, here at Bench Score Media, we work really hard to provide as much thought-provoking content as we can through the lens of sports cards. Sometimes that's maybe opinions you agree with, and sometimes it's not. That's okay, right? The point here is to help you think, to be more strategic with what you're doing with your sports cards or your memorabilia, whatever it may be. Today, I'm super privileged to have on a guest from a show, from a YouTube channel that I've been watching quite frequently, almost religiously for the past 6 to 7 months. It's a show called The Economic Ninja. And if you type in that in YouTube, you'll see just a ridiculous amount of videos that he's done. God, he's put like 80 videos out in the last 30 days. He's putting like 2 or 3 out a day, just covering different topics, really short spurts, grabs a coffee and just has a chat about important topics in the economy and how we should think about its application to our lives. And so first off, go check him out, subscribe to his channel, because you'll get a lot of value from that. Even if it's differing from what you think, it's really good to understand how a guy like that who's been successful is processing what's going on. So I had him on and I said, hey, look, I would love to have a conversation with you about alternative assets, specifically sports cards, and what your viewpoint, what history tells us and your experience has been with having alternative assets in a portfolio or as an investment strategy. And he reached back out in a few minutes actually and just said, hey, look, I would love to do that with you. And so we jumped on today. Come to find out, he's owned a sports card shop. He's had some incredible cards. In fact, he still has some incredible cards. He just sold his 52 Bowman. He's desiring to buy a Jordan rookie. So it was just a very natural conversation. And I think you'll love the conversation and walk away with some really good nuggets. Now, again, you'll probably hit us up and say we're super negative and we're talking about the downfall, the crash of the sports card market. Look, I hope you walk away from this and think, thank you for giving us yet another opinion, someone who's really outside the hobby, for us to think about how to be more strategic with the way we spend money, because there's going to be plenty of opportunities, whether it's from a collecting side or an investing side in the sports card world. It's just a matter of how you view the economy and how that impacts the opportunities that do pop up inside the sports card world. So I think you'll agree that it'll at least challenge the way you think about sports cards. Now, be sure to like and subscribe. We really try to put out this content. We would love to know what you think about it. Put comments below, but it does help us when you click like and subscribe or dislike, whatever it may be, just to keep the activity flowing so that we know and YouTube knows that this content is worthwhile. Finally, go check out thedailyhobby.com. If you are new to sports cards or you're a veteran and you're looking for a way just to have a curated news source, go to thedailyhobby.com. Link is in the show notes. It is a no fluff, very straightforward. Here's the headlines in different categories in sports cards. I personally curate that to make sure you're getting news out there. And I dig through and find all the headlines of the day. And you don't have to dig around looking for stuff. NFTs, hobbies, sports card investing, top news. You got it there. Nice mobile site, nice desktop site. Enjoy it. All right. Thank you for watching and enjoy this conversation with the Economic Ninja. The Economic Ninja, how you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How's your Sunday?
You know, it's good. A little busy. Woke up a little late and want to start working in the garage and get to talk with you. This is my break, actually, so this is a good time.
So you stepped out of a life to talk about sports cards. I'm impressed.
Oh, yeah.
I'm impressed.
Sports cards are some people's lives, actually.
Oh, we're going to get into that. You just hold on.
Right.
So I have 6 kids, and my 4th oldest, so she's 6, wanted to learn how to ride without training wheels this weekend. And okay. I'm almost 40 years old. And like, as I get older, I'm trying to like run with these kids as they ride their bikes. And I am absolutely pooped. I had to go shower before this because I was so sweaty from helping her ride her bike.
Really?
Life,
that's awesome.
Baby.
So she actually has a bike with the training wheels on it that you could pop off, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, so for folks that don't know who you are, I mean, obviously go to YouTube and type in Economic Ninja. You're going to see the gazillion videos you have out there. I just wanted to tell you firsthand, man, like I started checking you out. I want to say you had like 11, 12,000 subscribers
Okay.
And I connected because you were obviously talking about economic topics that weren't exactly like mainstream media. You're getting a different tent.
Yeah.
You have an awesome approach to just being consistently transparent, consistently authentic, which is really hard because the topics you're covering are not easy to talk about. So I just wanted to give you mad props, man. You've been super helpful for me. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, the channel started pretty much, it did my first handful of videos in August last year. And then I woke up end of September, looked at my wife and I said, I'm going to take this as big as I can. I'm going to go for it because I needed a place to speak and warn people. I've been doing it for I did it. I started warning people in 2006 when I was selling off all my real estate, saying the market was going to collapse, the housing market. And so It's been great for me to be able to connect with people like yourself. And I've had a ton of businesses and some of them were in collectibles. So I was actually pretty excited when you hit me up for an interview.
That's awesome. Well, it's funny. My wife was like, so who are you interviewing today? And I said, that guy that I always watch videos of when I'm laying in bed at night? That's who I'm talking to today. She's like, nice. The ninja.
It's just so interesting how many people actually talk about, I know you didn't say this, but they go, me and my spouse actually, drink coffee and listen to you together. And it's just so humbling how fast this has grown, quite frankly. So yeah, I'm so humbled. So thank you.
The price of being honest, right? You get paid. You get paid in some bad dividends.
Amen.
So let's start with this, man. So let's start with kind of your overall viewpoint of the economy. And I think that's important to view it through the lens that you're looking at this through. And then we'll talk about collectibles and alternative assets. So maybe kind of paint the picture of where you think we are in the economy for those that haven't seen your videos.
Yeah, awesome. So I love studying cycles, all kinds of different cycles. We all go through lifestyle cycles, economic cycles. And right now in the economy, we're hitting a cycle. This is the third one that I've been a part of that I actually knew was coming ahead of time. I sort of fell into the .com bubble and just realized that this isn't right. So I actually was able to move my retirement into the bond market and was saved really because we lost half of the value of the stock market during the .com crash. And then in 2006, I started selling my real estate. I owned a real estate business. We were flipping homes. We were renting homes. Had a blast doing it. I started in 2001, but by 2006, I was screaming, run for the hills. We're going to have a crash. And it took about 2 years for that to fully materialize, about 2.5 years. And now we find ourselves in one of the greatest bubbles in history, actually, because it's a worldwide currency bubble. So the first one was a stock bubble. The next one was a real estate bubble. Now we have a currency bubble. And that affects everything you have, everything from collectibles to your home. And it's very interesting as we're starting to peak. I've been doing a lot of stories about inflation. Is it transitory? Is it not? We're talking about lumber prices, things like that. And I'm able to hopefully shed a little bit of light that some things we shouldn't panic for and go buy up at high prices. And we should wait for the prices to come down. Yet there are some things that you do want to buy ahead of time in a crisis like we're seeing right now. And so that's really what I think has been helping a lot of people.
Gotcha. When do you feel like you started to have the strongest conviction about the market we were heading into? Do you feel like it was last year when we started printing money like crazy, or do you feel like you saw it kind of ahead of time pre-COVID?
Great question. So there's two answers. So first off, it was 2010. And the reason why it was so long ago is because as much as I knew about the mortgage-backed security market, watching how that whole collapse shook out and watching that the banks that should have went broke actually got bigger, that's when I woke up and went, oh crap, what's going on? So I started researching the difference between fiat currency and real money. Okay. So, and what's backing all that? So for literally 11 years, I've been studying that portion. Now, I did an interview with Robert Kiyosaki last October. And in the interview, I actually started speaking about an event that happened in September of 2019. And that was the interbank lending rate spiking to 10.5%. And a lot of people don't understand what it is, but it's very easily put. It's the rate of interest that one bank pays another bank to borrow money in the middle of the night when they found out, oh crap, we lent out more money than we're allowed to because we are held by a reserve ratio. And what happens is it spiked to 10.5%. And that's when the collapse actually started happening. And to give you some idea of how big that is, both the Lehman Brothers event in 2008 and then the 9/11 event in 2001 were 6% and 6.5% respectively. So to see 10.5% spike was insane. And the Federal Reserve immediately opened up the repo facility, started lending money into the market to avoid a collapse. And then ironically, a few months later, something popped out and into this world and changed the path of our lives. I won't say forever, but for a handful of years. And so that was a big eye opener. And Robert's wife leaned over in the interview and she goes, you know, Ninja, what you're talking about, nobody understands. They just don't get it. And that was when it sort of the light bulb popped into my head. I said, you know, I need to start trying to not dumb down the content, but really bring it into a package that most people understand. And since I can't spell or pronounce words anyway, it just comes across great.
Well, you and I share a very common thing. We love coffee because you always have a coffee in your hand, and your notes are about as simple as my notes. I love that you have the cardboard the size of your screen now. This is great.
Yeah.
So when you felt like you had conviction, what was the first thing that you started to do with your money that was vastly different than what kind of the rest of the world was doing?
Yeah. So I learned how to use debt to make money. And I think debt is a great tool to make money, right? Use other people's money to make money. If you have a better idea than the person loaning out money and you can increase it, bring yourself profit and pay them interest, that's a good system, right? But I've also always believed in living not a minimalist lifestyle, but not getting into crazy debt personally. So I use debt in my businesses to increase my wealth. But then in my personal lifestyle, I didn't drive a fancy car. I drove what I needed to get the job done. And even if I could have, back then, even I could have walked into any dealership and bought any car. And I have a funny Ferrari story I'm going to be doing a video about one day. But I lived that minimalist lifestyle, right? So when 2010 happened and I woke up to the realities of real money, I started to invest in real tangible assets like physical gold and silver. I started to pay down certain types of debt and I just never looked back.
Love it. Okay. Well, you cover all these topics on your channel, so we don't need to dig too much into that, but there's obviously a lot of nuggets that you've pulled out and a lot of advice that you've given on your channel. So go check that out. So let's shift a little bit to sports collectibles, because that's why folks are going to be watching this. I can guarantee it. I didn't even know this coming into the interview today that you used to own a sports card shop, which is awesome. And you have a little bit of background in sports cards. So tell me about that real quick before we dive into this.
Yeah. So I actually opened up my first physical location business was a baseball card shop in my hometown. I was a junior in high school, and during my senior summer, I actually opened up a baseball card shop in a section of a barber shop. So I actually had 3 or 4 glass, display cases. I had my little cash register set up, and I actually had a full storefront. And that was a very interesting time because if many of you guys, I don't know how many people remember this little bit of history, but when the baseball association decided to strike for more money, that was in 1994. It completely destroyed it was a negative stigma, and it just destroyed the industry. And so I didn't lose any money from that venture, but it really just put a little sting in me too. But I've always had sports cards. I was telling you, I just sold my 52 Bowman Mickey Mantle rookie. And I did that for a strategic reason, because I think we're going to hit another cycle when it comes to collectibles.
Interesting. What was your favorite card that you own, or maybe the card that you still own that you're holding?
Man, the favorite one was a 1968 Topps Mickey Mantle. It was in mint condition. Now, this was prior to grading, okay? And it was horrible because I let a kid trade me for a bunch of other stuff. It was a fair trade monetarily. I also really liked the 1985 Topps series. And because that was way before the internet, you could only find and trade what was in front of you. Now, when I first got married, I was an eBay seller and selling collectibles, and I could go anywhere in the world and get stuff. It was super simple, but I wanted all these 85 Topps rookies. And so I traded the Mantle away. And what's really interesting about that is as he was driving away, or riding his bike away, actually, I knew the grave mistake I'd made, because I just traded. It was 1993, I think, or 92 when I did this. And I just gave up a piece of history and traded it for some more pieces of history, but it was recent history. And there's so many, so fewer 68 Mantles out there than there were of the Roger Clemens, Kirby Puckett, Daryl Strawberry cards, and I to this day it stings, to be honest with you.
I'm surprised you haven't gone back out and purchased one just to throw into your closet.
I've thought about it. Do you want to hear something funny? I've actually thought about it, and I haven't done it for a specific reason, because I don't want to forget the sting. And it sounds funny. I'm going to do a real weird trivia. There was a city in China that was destroyed by the British. I want to say it happened in the 16 or 1700s. And this city, their silver, physical silver, was stolen. And the people of China never rebuilt the city. They actually put a barricade around the entire city. And in the front, there's a plaque that states that we will never forget what they did to us. And it sounds funny that I haven't went out and gotten that card, because I also, there was a Pete Rose rookie that I gave up a while back. It was when Pete Rose was going through his stuff, and I just sort of, idolized him into a certain point, and now it doesn't bug me. But it's like I still remember that, and it sounds funny, but it drives me in other aspects to never give up that Mickey mantle again.
Love it. Already getting philosophical. 12 minutes in.
Sorry, man.
True economic ninja form. I love it. I love it. Well, man, you already, it sounds like you already got a grasp on kind of what the sports card market's about. Obviously, you own the shop. Have you stayed up with kind of what's happened the past 3 years? And just, it's, I guess, not just sports cards. It's been a bubble in all kinds of alternative assets. But are you familiar with just the insane rise of sports cards the last 2 years?
So I am. And there's a lot to say about that, because there's a lot of money in the system right now. And there are a lot of people right now that are gaining wealth in all kinds of different aspects, like older people like myself. Because, I got like probably 8 years on you. And a lot of people that have come into recent wealth, and they're purchasing the collectibles that they've always wanted or remembered wanting as a child. So there's a lot of really cheap money out in the system right now that's pushing into these asset classes. But just to give you an idea, this exact same thing happened in 2004 to 2006. We saw a massive move in collectibles because I still was selling electric trains every once in a while. Go buy a garage sale, spend $100 on a train collection, and sell it for $2,000-3,000 online. Because quite frankly, I don't care how rich you are. If you can make $2,000 in an afternoon, you should go do it. But then we saw the subsequent crash, the collapse of those collectibles, and not in every collectible, but yeah, it's interesting. But I'll tell you one thing, it's going to make you laugh. In 1996, I think it was, expansion packs started making a really big move. And man, I can be honest with you, I'd look at a Beckett and my eyes would just bug out of my head. They'd start rolling back like a shark going for his prey, because it just drove me nuts. I'm like, wait a minute, this Topps gold, all of a sudden this guy's worth more rather than this. It's like the expansion packs just drove me nuts, to be honest with you. So yes, I do understand how much money's flowing into it right now, and I don't even want to look at it. I actually do have a current Beckett, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is insane.
Well, shoot, Beckett even admits like their printed price guides are basically out of date the second they print them, because of the way the market's moving so fast, up and down, right? The eBay world's pretty fluid.
Oh, yeah.
Insane. Well, so let's talk about 2004 to 2006. Funny you mentioned 94 and the strike and everything. I did a video a couple weeks ago where I pulled up some Wall Street Journal articles from 1989 to 1992. And if you would have taken out the players' names and put in current players' names, and they talk about the growth of the hobby, all these adults are flooding in, it's an alternative asset, they're all going to, triple their wealth. And then by 93, 94, it was, oops, we made a massive mistake. The market's collapsing. Topps is worth, a fraction of what they are now. What happened in 2004, 2006, and what can we take away from that, just kind of from high level?
Well, shoot, I got to let's rewind 2 cycles, because economic cycles happen every 7 to 10 years normally. And then you have larger cycles every 50 years and super cycles every 100. Let's go back to 93, 94. There was actually an economic cycle that played out to where inflation was getting too hot. Real estate was booming, or new construction was booming. So the Federal Reserve did some interesting things to cap that inflation. And they like in real estate, any new construction loan, there was 4 points added to it. So if you needed a $400,000 loan, you had to pay $16,000 in fees to go get that loan. Well, what happened is not only you have the scandals or the bad press of the strikes going on in the baseball world, but then you also had a lot of that free capital that was flowing get stopped. And so now forwarding up to 2006, That run was happening because people like myself were investing in real estate. Stock market was coming back, and we had a lot of extra cash. And we had something called the wealth effect. It's one thing to be making, let's say, paycheck to paycheck, just enough to pay your bills and scrape together a little bit of living and some vacations. But when you watch your 401k as you're new in the career field, and it goes from $10,000 to $150,000 to $250,000, you start to spend your paycheck to paycheck a little differently. And it is a real emotion that people go through. Well, in 2006, we were topping right then. The housing market was starting to collapse. The Federal Reserve was coming out and warning people. They actually weren't warning people. They were giving them pep talks that, no, there's no problem at all. But what happened is the spending contracted. We started seeing fuel going up nationwide. It was like a year-long event to where it topped in 2008, year and a half long. And expenses were getting heavier and heavier. Food was getting more expensive. Rents were getting more expensive. So there was less and less money to put into the collectibles market. And remember, a collectible or anything on earth is only worth what someone is willing to pay. And since the invention of the internet, there's never been a time where you can leverage an asset like a collectible like you can today. I mean, I could literally put something on Facebook Marketplace and 1,000 people in my neighborhood see it. I could go put it on eBay and I could sell it to the world. So somewhere I'm going to be able to leverage that asset. And that's what happened in 2006 because eBay was out there. YouTube wasn't out there yet. So you didn't have shows like yourself talking about the fundamentals of the actual business. But the spending contraction was happening. And I believe that's what we're actually witnessing right now.
Now, so when we talk, so there's two camps, I think, in the sports car world now, right? There's obviously there's collectors and there's investors. That's a given. And that's a very contentious topic in the hobby world, right? Darn those investors come into our hobby and ruin it. But all right. And we've had many videos on this.
Driving prices up.
Well, for sure, right? But when you look at the inflation, I think, and I've texted with many people about this, and the general idea, and maybe it's an uneducated opinion, is that inflation is going to drive up the prices of sports cards. And my response to that is always, well, inflation makes everything more expensive. And guys like the normal guy on the street, like me, who have to spend their money on gas, and that's important money out of their paycheck or food, whatever it may be, they have less to spend, less discretionary income. Help me understand the balance in that, where inflation driving up prices, but also discretionary income dropping.
Yeah. So the very loose definition of inflation is too many dollars chasing too few goods. All right. And I'll actually give you a really weird example of this. There was a Kurdish, I believe it was 2006, a study done by a professor in San Jose University of the Kurdish hyperinflation of 2006. And what he found was, and the CIA found it out the hard way, is when they were trying to fund, our government was trying to fund the Kurds to deal with a couple different battles or wars in 2006, they were giving them money. Well, the only money they were shipping over were $100 bills. And what they found was after a certain amount of time had went by, the CIA officers were finding that they were going into coffee shops and a coffee was $100. They're going, what are you talking about, $100? And that was all that they were being given, was these $100 US bills from these Kurdish people. And so literally it induced a hyperinflation in these small stores. And it sounds funny, it's because that's all they had, right? And so as money is printed into circulation and interest rates drop, there's this, there's just more access to money, which drives up the price of let's say, sports cards. But what's really interesting, there's always a time when it stops. And I'll give you an example that I'm sure you've heard of the tulip bulb mania, but not a lot of people know about the emu mania. And first off, there's probably some people typing in, what the heck is an emu? But it's a large bird. But there was a time when people were putting tons of money into these large birds that I don't know if they even have any purpose. So guaranteed there's going to be an emu professional in the comment section pretty soon. Oh no, this is what they're for. But the point is they rose in value because of people thinking they were going to become rarer and rarer. And so people were investing, speculating in it, right? And that's what's happening in sports cards right now. And you are going to see a top, because what's going to happen is, you see those crazy headlines, and some of them are not real too, where you see this Michael Jordan such and such card sold for this insane amount. There is also some false advertising in that too, right? But there's a point when the common man goes, I ain't buying it. It's too expensive. It's literally like what we just saw of the $13 2x4 from Home Depot, which I said, guys, don't worry, it's going to collapse. And now we're back down to $3. So that is, if that helped explain it, hopefully I explained it well.
Yeah, I know that's helpful. It's funny when you say emus, it takes me, so the sports card community evolves so fast now, right? You got the NFT world. And now you got sloth NFTs. I'm sure when someone heard emu, they're thinking, okay, is the Economic Ninja talking about emu NFTs? Is there an opportunity there?
Hey, let me jump in there. So I've been in blockchain since late 2016. So I saw the 2017 ICO craze, and I made a lot of money on it. I was really blessed to be a part of that. I went risky and it paid off. And I tell people, I know what it's like to see, take $10,000 and turn it into $1 million in a year. That's what happened in 2017. I also saw what it was like to see that $1 million go, crashing down too. Now, the NFT space is very, very interesting. And what's funny is it's a catchword right now. And I believe you're going to see NFT being associated with the ICO craze of 2017. And the reason why is because, sure, NFTs have a function and a purpose, which is great, but not all NFTs are going to make it. And what's happening is it's a catchword that's selling. It's people are keying in on that, and they think almost anything's going to work. And you're literally seeing a craze similar to emu right now. People are just investing in the name, the word, and they don't understand the fungibility or use case of that. An NFT in fine art, that's one thing. But I'm watching NFTs essentially. I'm seeing a sports card being split up to where you can invest in a sports card. And you could own a piece of it, but essentially you own a picture of it, while a third party charges that fund to store it, light it, all that kind of stuff. And that's driving insane valuations in the sports card industry.
Yeah. When you got to go pay $6 a gallon for gas, or your loaf of bread costs $10, you're not going to care about your CryptoPunk NFT. I can guarantee you that.
Right. I agree. Because it's going to go down in value because you're not the only one not caring anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk then, for people that are pretty hard and fast about sports cards being a great alternative asset. Where do you place collectibles in a portfolio for someone? Are you saying run for the fences, or is there a place for sports cards, alternative assets in a portfolio?
Well, cool. Let's use history as an example. I mean, if anybody, and I'd love to see your subscribers put this in the comments, if anyone was during the Great Recession investing in cards, what did the values do? And it's sad because I would love to tell you, hey, they went down, because they did. I know that for sure. Because you saw more of them showing up in garage sales. People sort of gave up because they didn't have that allure of every month you're looking at the Beckett and you're seeing more down arrows than up arrows. And so I think that with everything, there's a cycle. There's a time to own it and a time to sell it. Now, the thing is that you're never going to hit the bottom and top. Only a fool thinks that he can, because I've never been successful at that. However, if you look at the broader cycles, I kept a certain amount of my cards and I sold them all out when I was doing the real estate. And first off, it was because I had way too many. I mean, literally a baseball card shop worth still. I needed to free up space, but then I kept the ones that I really enjoyed, that I really loved. And I loved because of their rarity and the memories that came along with them. And I always knew that any day you sell something, if you hit it right, you could always buy it back. There's never anything in life that has always held its value, unless, like with real estate, and food, it always goes up over the long term. You have to realize why it's going up. It's because of the destruction of the currency, the amount of currency they're printing. And so, yes, over the long term, things tend to always get more expensive. They never usually go down in price. But it's those tiny little fluctuations in time that, if you catch them right, and we're talking large cycles, they could be multi-year cycles in the collectibles industry, you can crush it, absolutely crush it. And to be honest with you, considering we're probably moving into a hyperinflationary scenario, and I know a lot of people can't even wrap their minds around that worldwide, I don't think that, I think it would be wise to start to look at your collections and go, why don't I move a little bit to cash? It's not financial advice, but is it getting a little hot? Is it getting overheated? Even Gary Vee's coming out now and talking about how these sports cards, NFTs, he was super hot in the beginning, and now he's going, just so you know, these aren't all going to work. He's starting to see the writing on the wall, so.
Yeah. No, that's great perspective. That's great perspective. Now you mentioned, and I don't want to, I want to say it was maybe 6 weeks ago, you had a live Q&A and I threw a question out there just about your point of view on collectibles. And you mentioned something about velocity and how important it is to take into account velocity of, and I want to think it was a really quick Q&A. So I think you were looking at it from the lens of get in, get out, right? Because your experience in trains was, I'm going to go take advantage of this. I'm going to move out of it. I'm not going to, have an emotional attachment to this. How important is velocity when you're in sports cards?
It reminded me to tell you my Doug Flutie story. It's a funny story because with trains. So velocity in everything is very important. It's vital. When money velocity is happening or sports card velocity is happening, where you're seeing people trading things back and forth, you're seeing eBay sales that are literally getting bid up in the first couple of days, and they're not, the length of the auctions are getting shorter. That's a really big tall tale sign with eBay sales. Your market is super hot when somebody can put on an auction for 3 days and have the confidence that they're going to get the price they want for that item. You see, when I was starting out in 2000, I was selling on eBay. And that's how I bought my first house, selling electric trains. I would put something on 7 days because I couldn't tell the weekly cycle, nationwide, when people were going to be home looking at their computers, when they were going to be busy at work. But when something got really hot, the market got really hot, people could throw things on for 3 days, 2 days, even like I think I saw some 24-hour auctions, and these things would sell super fast. Well, that's when velocity is at its extreme. And I quite frankly believe, especially because of NFTs and the additional advertising and awareness they've gotten, tying sports cards, the blockchain, or all the different marketing things that the sports industry is doing right now with collectibles. I think it's at a fever pitch, and I think we're getting close. Now, when I say I think we're getting close to the top, I called the top of the real estate market 3 weeks ago, and of course got a lot of hate for it. But I don't think people realize, because in the comments they say, well, the house right down the street from me sold really quick. And I said, well, that's because in a 10-block radius, it's probably the only house for sale. I'm talking about a national thing right now that we're about to see. So it could take months and months for you to start seeing the news. But ironically, and this is tying sports cards to real estate, the week after I put that video out, which was third week of July, you type in just the words real estate in Google, hit news, and it was all doom and gloom from Forbes, CNBC, with the markets topped. Yeah. And so that actually happened after I put out that video. So when I say that I think we're hitting a top right now, it has nothing to do with the value and enjoyment of the collectibles industry. It has to do with the amount of money that people are about to put at, and I said it, lumber. People by August are going to care more about the food on their table and the cost of gas. And it is happening right now because of an expansion in our money supply. We're literally printing $1 trillion a month. And I think people need to get their grasp on that, because I believe fairly soon you're going to have, and this is when everything collapses, we'll be printing $1 trillion a week. And so people need to realize what's going on behind the scenes.
Crazy. That's a perfect segue before we jump into some metrics. So we did a video 2 months ago talking about the sports card collapse. We used the word collapse and it ruffled a bunch of feathers. But one of the main metrics we were measuring is the sell-through rate on eBay. It's a metric you can pull up as a seller. And if you search for graded cards, so PSA 10 cards, the sell-through rate in August of last year was like 65%. In other words, like 65% of the cards listed on eBay would sell. Mm-hmm. Last month, 22% of PSA cards across the site sold. Crazy. Go ahead.
Let me jump in real quick, because I actually did something similar to this, a study when I was doing trains. I want you to also think, people need to remember, it's not just the market could be collapsing, right? But it's also when you get to a fever pitch in any collectibles market, what happens is people start to get really brazen with their asking price. And we're seeing that with real estate right now. So what they'll do is a normal, let's say, I don't even know what an MJ rookie card's going for right now, but let's go 89 upper deck, Ken Griffey Jr. I'm going to guess it's at $80. Do you know the price by any chance?
Graded card, let's just say $1,000. Graded PSA 10.
Ooh, okay. See, I have no graded cards. Okay. So let's say $1,000. So last year, let's say it was going for 800, but right now they're going, it's worth 1,000. People are saying 1,000. You know what? I'm going to throw it on for 1,100 or $1,200. And what's happening is you'll see a lot of those ads on eBay and you're going, what is this person smoking something? So you have to remember too, during the mania, last year, let's say there was 10,000 listings for sports cards. There was another metric where you could actually go find out how many were listed last year as opposed to how many were listed this year. And I would dare say, because I haven't looked, that this year you're going to see a greater increase in the amount of collectibles, especially sports cards, that are being listed on eBay. And that's that also affects the sell-through rate, if that makes sense, because the people just asking amounts.
That it does. And I guess a tangent to that is the number of sellers, which we noticed was up 400% year over year, from 4,000 to 16,000, which is just an insane number, right?
Let me speak to that too. Actually, not a lot of people realize that there are people that have an eBay account that actually have multiple eBay accounts. And what they do is they screw with these things. A couple different reasons. They're either bad sellers and they get bad reviews, so they've already got another account to jump onto. And I say this is akin to I'm sure you're going to get a laugh at this, or if you know what I'm talking about. The furniture industry is famous for this, where you will see a furniture store go out of business, and then literally another furniture store pops in the exact same things. We're like, man, that was sort of convenient for the landlord. But then you go find out, you walk inside and go, wait a minute, you're the same owner. And what you don't realize is after a certain amount of time, there could be an owner of a furniture store that's getting a bad rap. And there's always, or you've seen this same furniture store never close, but it always has a closing and going out of business sale. Nothing pissing me off more than that. Well, the same thing happens in eBay. You'll have guys that will just open up multiple accounts and have different ways of doing things. And I even know somebody that actually would list one item 3 different ways, 3 different prices. And then if it sold one way, he'd take down the other 2 ads. But depending on marketing, he might be able to sell it really super quick and do a short auction and essentially feed on the FOMO effect, the fear of missing out effect. And he would be able to mark things up with, amazing, not thumbnails, but back then it was just amazing lighting and video and all that stuff. And it was crazy what he was able to sell as opposed to everybody else that just had a normal, eBay account.
Interesting. Well, I hope people watching this don't get any crazy ideas. Don't be doing that. That is interesting. We just had PWCC, who's exactly. PWCC, this is a big news last week. There's 2 big news items last week. PWCC, the largest seller of sports cars on eBay, got canned from eBay because of shill bidding. They were artificially inflating the prices. But then you also saw, Topps lost its contract to Major League Baseball. So no more Topps cars. I don't know if you got that news.
I did hear about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
PWCC.
Yeah.
They've been around for a long time too.
They have. All right. So let's shift back to, for those, maybe not so much sports card specific, but if someone is really curious about kind of staying up with the transition, the evolution of the economy, what market indicators are kind of the ones that you would recommend people to pay attention to? Obviously, watch your videos, but what indicators are most important to you?
Wow. Man, that's a big question. See, a lot of people don't want to learn about economics because they think that it's too hard to learn about it. Like you need some degree. It sounds funny. I was actually working with someone the other day at my day job, and I've got 5 businesses right now on top of a day job. And I have this YouTube channel. And this one person's like, what makes you qualified to have a YouTube channel about economics? And I said, well, I don't even know how to answer that because I made a video about it. I'm like, pushing play or pushing record. And I said, well, what? And somebody in the conversation goes, well, what would make him qualified? And he goes, a college degree. And everyone sort of sits there and he goes, oh, a master's degree, actually. I'm like, wow, okay. And I thought it just took experience. Now it sounds funny, but I'm tying in this into your question because a lot of people, they don't want to learn about it because they think it takes a degree, but it doesn't. All it takes is broadening your horizons, opening up a couple of amazing books. The first one for me was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a real estate-based book, but it really got you thinking about the power of your own education and not what was, forced upon you by society. And so the most vital metric, I believe, because I believe we're in a currency collapse worldwide, and we're going to be getting a new currency, right? They got a bunch of different names. That's 10 other videos down the road, let's say, is what is happening to the amount of money being printed right now. Like I just told you, $1 trillion a month over the last 12 months has been printed. And they tell you a couple different ways. They'll say it's only a little bit over here, like 500 billion over here, but then there's 200 billion over in this pile. Start adding it up. My thing is to start looking at how much money is being printed and understand that inflation is not just like some act of God. It's because a lot of people have money that they want to put somewhere. And once people start to realize that, just how money flows. Like you brought up velocity. What happens when velocity slows or stops? That's the scary thing. And I believe you're about to see that literally in the next 3 weeks be coming out in the news, where the velocity of money is stopping in real estate. It's stopping in lumber. It's stopping in a bunch of different things, but it's picking up in food. And so I think that's the most important thing, is to start looking at where the money comes from and where it's flowing.
Gotcha. Is there a specific metric that measures that, or is that something we just have to see kind of?
There is, and it's actually very interesting because the powers that be just changed it, and it's called M1, M2, and M3 money supply. And you can Google M1, M2, or M3 money supply and start reading all kinds of amazing things about it. But as of right now, because we are in a crisis that most people don't understand and they get upset, it's interesting. Like you said, you use the word collapse and you just ticked off a bunch of people. Well, it's happening with me in real estate. A bunch of real estate agents like, you're crazy, you're wrong. Rather than ask me what my background is or anything like that, they just want to tell me I'm wrong. They think they're talking to a real estate agent when they actually are talking to a guy that owned the real estate brokerages. They have no clue. Even real estate agents that I worked with in my office had no idea that I also owned 2 brokerages. And because people don't ask questions. And what you're doing is you're offending them because they're in their tiny little bubble and they're like, I'm going to make $1 million. And then someone like you comes along and goes, hey, this thing is going to collapse. And they're just like, they don't know what to do. And they lash out in anger rather than ask questions. They're like, I'm not going to win $1 million. And it's like, no, but it's okay. And that's what I try and do on my channel. I like, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And before you say it's a train, it's not. Because there is hope. And the hope is understanding where you are in the cycle and then knowing, I just need to, the train's coming. I just need to step off the train tracks, let it run by me, and then get back on with my path.
I love it.
How's that for philosophical?
That's beautiful. And I spend some time in your comments and I see those people pop up and it's fun. My response to the people about degrees would be, I got a bachelor's in economics and a master's in finance, and I've learned more from you in about 6 months. So take that.
Are you
for
serious?
Degrees.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I got to stop this. First off, thank you for saying that. And I have so many people with their economics degrees that are contacting me. And I can't be more sincere. This has been such an amazing journey for me to be able to meet people like you, to be able to have real conversations. But it's not about like all the scary things. It's about, and it sounds funny. I think you probably heard on some of my videos because people said, well, yeah, Ninja, it's great that we know all this bad stuff's happening. How are we going to deal with it? And I said, we're going to buy everyone's stuff. And I'm not joking. I mean, like, you want to talk about sports cars? Yeah. I'm going to buy in 2009. I was really into car audio. I found an audio store going out of business. And it was literally like the last day. It's pretty much, I'm hauling this stuff off to the dump and I'll buy all your inventory for $1,000. And he sold all this brand new stuff. I had a garage full of audio stuff. That's about to happen in the next couple of years. You'll see it, where big sports investors that invested in all this stuff are going to now perceive it as worthless and they're going to liquidate it, because a lot of people are using debt in the sports card industry right now to buy up everything from cards to memorabilia, like actual pitchers mitts, things like that. And they're doing it for a financial gain. Well, if all of a sudden the market turns, they're the first ones to liquidate because it's a business decision. There's a lot of people that probably listen to your thing that this is an emotional thing. This is a joy. When I held that Mickey Mantle Bowman rookie card for the first time, because I didn't want to spend the money on the tops. I mean, it was like, wow, I'm holding a piece of history. It's something I've always wanted, was this card. And I don't care what it was worth. If it fell in value by 50%, it still made me smile when I looked at it and showed people. So there's 2 totally different segments of this. And I believe the investor side is going to get smashed, and I will be there to pick it up because I want my Michael Jordan rookie.
Heck yeah. And you hit a really good point, because I think that's what people realized 72 hours ago when Topps lost its license to the to Fanatics. Fanatics came out and said, hey, we got the license from MLB. We're going to, our run rate's going to be $6 billion in profit by 2045. And all these hobbyists and collectors are like, no, stupid decision. Oh, wait, This is a business for them. This is a business for them. Of course it's a business. All these investors coming in trying to flip cards. There's no emotional attachment. And they're you're exactly right? When they got to buy more things for their family, they're gone.
Boy, can you imagine? It sounds funny, but right now I'm sure the execs at Tops are freaking out right now. But everything's an opportunity. Sometimes the worst things in life end up being the best things for you. Can you imagine if Top said, "Okay, we don't have that license. Well, why don't we start making?" It sounds funny. Hyperinflation cards. We'll start doing cards on the Federal Reserve, and we'll literally like through cardboard cards with photos. We're gonna historically capture what's going on in history right now. And there are so many people that are waking up to economics right now would be buying those things up. Ben Bernanke saying, "Hey, 2006, there's nothing wrong with the mortgage industry. It's okay." Or Jay Powell right now talking, all limp wristed going, I hope this works. This may work. You're like, are you kidding me? So what I'm saying is that I'm joking, but Tops, there's always another side, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the assets of Tops, because they actually have a heck of a hoard of actual really amazing collectibles themselves. And the question is, do their shareholders, because that's a decision now they've got to think about, do they liquidate those into the market? What's going to happen with all that? Are they going to try their hardest to get that contract back? And the thing is, there's a time limit to that. So what are they going to do? But it's not the end of the world for Tops, but it's definitely going to affect going forward the pricing, I think, in those assets.
Oh, for sure. For sure. It's funny you mentioned that. So the cards that I had the highest profit margin on last year were cards that they printed called GameStop, the whole GameStop mania. They started printing cards for moments in history. I bought a bunch of those when they did it because they print on demand for a week and they move off. And I flipped the crazy out of those things because, again, people want that piece in history. They won't care about it 2 years from now, right? But 2 months ago they cared.
Yeah. Well, it sounds funny. I didn't know that story. So that's a prime example right now. And I always tell people to hashtag certain things in the videos to get reactions. And boy, if people would like literally just hashtag Tops in the comments, just boom, 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 you never know. They might literally watch your video and go, that is a great idea. The world's economics system is collapsing right now. What if we were to do a series and just literally look at the headlines? Because it sounds funny, but right now it's very easy to hide the facts because most people search a certain way on the internet. So it's actually easy to hide. Can you imagine if you literally had a baseball card like, "Hey, Afghanistan was taken in a day. That's weird." And then, another one's, "I don't know how that's possible." It's like, it's here forever. And I'm going to get this thing graded. And you're never going to forget. It's just really interesting. That is quite an idea. I think you and I are going to need some money for that idea from Tops.
All right. I'll start working some connections. I think Tops has some free times in their hands. So I think we can figure that out.
There you go.
I'm on it. Good stuff. Okay. There's so much to digest. We're going to have tons of comments below. So let me shift real quick to YouTube. There is a ridiculous amount of content creators in the sports card hobby. We don't have to dig too far into this, but you've gone from 10 to 88,000 subscribers in a very short amount of time. What is a couple key takeaways? What are a couple key takeaways that you've had from just your crazy growth in navigating the YouTube world?
So let me honest, and this is going to get philosophical. So, just bear with me here because this is quite a life lesson for me. So I actually grew from October 1st. I'm pretty sure I had about 280 subscribers. I crossed 1,000 subscribers the first week of December, and I'm just now hitting about 86,000. I was contacted by YouTube, and they actually came out and said, "You're actually one of the fastest growing channels out there right now, but especially in finance." And it has been humbling, exciting, thrilling because I'm a goal setter, right? And I wanted to set a goal. My goal is to achieve 100,000 subscribers in 1 year. And a lot of people don't know this, but without the help of bots, subscribing bots, and view bots and all that kind of stuff. I don't do any of that crap. YouTube can pick up on it pretty good, but it's rough. But I didn't do any of that stuff because I just want to set a goal. I just wanted to get that plaque. It sounds funny, but it's because I need to achieve. We all need to achieve in our life. And I'll tell you, there are some mean people out there, just mean people. Now, they probably aren't even dressed. They're still living at mom's house and they're our age. And they probably still have a milk stain on their shirt. But the facts are, what really blows me away and what's sad is because a lot of people read the comments, and I have to. I'm from the Gary V school of thinking that you want to hear what your subscribers want to hear, what they need to hear. They want that personal contact. It's extremely important because my goal is to become a motivational speaker and I want to help 1 million people make $1 million, honestly. And that not by selling you some stupid investment that I get made money off of. It's one thing to have an affiliate link. It's another thing to pre-package some stock plan and, oh, here, buy it, and I get a cut of it. I think that's dirty. But what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to lay off of it, is find a thing where you don't get cocky, because I fall prey to that all the time, right? But also, and trying to help people, trying to keep being real with people, and then navigate the dirt bags out there, because the dirt bags hide in the shadows. They lurk. It's funny because the GameStop thing really was a movement, awakening to a lot of people about what naked shorting was in the market. And it actually made a movement which spun off into Wall Street silver and all kinds of different investments. Yep. And so the biggest takeaway I've learned is, and I'm trying so hard, I literally was just talking with my wife today about this, is not getting cocky, never forgetting how I started. And this can all end. The other thing is, this can all end tomorrow. Regardless of how successful you think you are or how great the investment you made today is, going back to the ICO craze of 2017 and blockchain, I literally watched something that I bought for 30 cents go to $80. I did sell half of it, and it went right back to 30 cents. And it took about 2 years to get back to it. And so my point being is that nothing is forever. To stay humble and to try and help as many people as I can. So when you reached out to me and asked about the way you asked, I didn't even know anything about who you were, your channel. I didn't even look at anything. I said, yeah, I'd love to do an interview. Why? It's because what is my time worth? When I'm trying to help others. For all I knew, you maybe had 100,000 subscribers, 10,000 subscribers, or 2. I just went on a channel with a 17-year-old man that has had a channel about economics for 4 years, and it's been a struggle for him to get over 800 subscribers. But he's an amazing young man, and I love going on his channel. So hopefully that answered some questions. But just staying real.
Love it. I figured you would go down that line of thought because you are obviously very real. Thank you for that. Thank you for taking this interview. What other platforms have you delved into? Are you using social media outside of YouTube to help? Twitter, Instagram, all that other jazz, or no?
Yeah, I am. And I'm doing it for a couple different reasons, because of, let's say, the way that the narrative needs to get, big companies want to sway your narrative. Yeah. So, Twitter's helped out a lot because I'm into cryptocurrency. I don't like talking about crypto because I don't want to sway the market. It might sound cocky, but that's where I'm at. I've been in it for long enough. My company's invested in it. I don't like do all these, picks and what's going to be good. To be honest with you, I've done a couple and they've fallen on their face and like, I stick to the big boys. So I use Twitter for that. I think I'm on like 12 different platforms right now. And as a matter of fact, I'm looking for the next big platform, because I know there's a few platforms out there that are delving into, blockchain tech to secure them to where a bunch of computers worldwide keep them running the data so that no central point of authority can attack it, destroy it. Because just like memorabilia, the reason why memorabilia is so expensive is because it's rare. Because over years, there's only so many tops, Mickey Mantle rookies out there. And over time, they've been lost, put in the spokes of a bicycle. We all, dread to think that. But the facts are, if that didn't happen, the Mickey Mantle rookie card wouldn't be what it is today. It's one thing to say it's because Mickey Mantle was an awesome player. It's also something to say it's because of its rarity. And so with social media, and it sounds funny, I'm tying this into social media, the ability to be able to store that data so it doesn't get wiped out, to be able to prove your point over time, or to be able to harness that information and knowledge, hopefully for generations down the line that are about to come, I think is invaluable. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Dig it. The fact that you just tied blockchain social media to a Mickey Mantle card, impressive. Impressive.
Thank you, sir. I don't know if I did it well, but...
You know what? Yeah, we'll see in the comments, I guess. All right. So I always do something with my guests. I do a little something called rapid fire. This is going to be a bunch of random questions for you. Answer fast as you can, but answer honestly. First thing that comes to mind. You'll have a little fun with this. All right. We'll start with the first one. I'll actually show a visual. I'm going to show a visual for this.
Okay.
You got $16,000 to spend. 500 ounces of silver or a Bowman Chrome Tom Brady. What do you take?
I'm going to answer with a question. Can the Bowman Tom Brady make a solar panel? No. Okay, I go with silver. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
I figured you'd say that. When you say silver, it's funny. Silver is a pretty popular word in modern day cards. It's like the refractor in basketball and football cards. So I probably could type in silver in economics in our headline and people would be, yeah.
When we talk about silver, because the price hasn't moved up, last year rhodium went from about $300 to $500 an ounce to $30,000 an ounce, and nobody talks about it. So trust me, there's a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't realize in value, and that's why I'm involved in silver. So okay, next question. Let's do this.
Well, look, I'll just say this: I've spent more money on silver than sports cards because of you, and because it's smart, wow. And not just you, right?
Yeah.
Everybody talks about precious metals in some capacity. It just depends on, I guess, your availability and funds. All right. What book has had the most profound impact on your life?
Oh, Rich Dad, Poor Dad in a Heartbeat by Robert Kiyosaki.
No hesitation. All right.
Well, do you want me to keep talking why? Or go on to the next question?
Yeah, tell me why.
Yeah, so he talks about the difference between his real father, which was the superintendent of all schools for the state of Hawaii, had a doctorate, I believe, or for sure an MBA, but I'm pretty sure a doctorate, and was insanely intelligent, but he couldn't rub two dimes together and was poor. He was paycheck to paycheck, but his best friend's father was a high school dropout and had a business, and he was one of the richest men in the state of Hawaii. So he would always go to him, and the whole book is about him going to his rich dad for advice, and then watching how his poor dad, his real dad, insulted his other dad because he was a capitalist. He was an evil capitalist and stuff. And I'm telling you, there's no better wake up than that book. And to be able to meet Kiyosaki himself a couple different times, it's just been super awesome.
Huge fan of Kiyosaki, no doubt. Yeah. He talks about people making projections in some of his podcasts, and he mentions how never buy into the idea of someone making projections, because most of the time when someone makes a projection of price, by the time it gets to that point, someone's already forgotten. No one cares. No one holds them accountable. Anybody can say it's going to be a certain price.
Yep, I agree.
Cool. What other YouTuber would you be okay with house sitting for you guys for a weekend?
You know what? Just because I've met him in person, David Morgan, the silver guru. I think he's one of the most humble, kind. Yeah, most humble. He's, matter of fact, I reached out to, so last year before I started a YouTube channel, I reached out to all kinds of people because I said, if you watch my channel, it's just me with no notes going off the cuff, right? So I backtrack, I go off on a tangent. But if you get me talking to someone like yourself, I can answer a little bit more intelligently and clearly. David was the only person out of literally hundreds of people I contacted that contacted me back and spent time with me. And he was so kind. Quite frankly, he inspired me through his knowledge for 10 years, but talking to him in person. And then I flew up to Washington, had dinner with him, and me and my wife went up and met him. He had me over to his house. I mean, so genuine, so amazing. I can't say enough good things about him.
Awesome. In-N-Out Burger, Chipotle, or Chick-fil-A? Where are you going if you had a...
Oh my gosh. In-N-Out for taste, Chick-fil-A because of their background, what they believe in. And I believe that is literally one of the most blessed companies. And let me stop you real quick. I read a 3-part series on Chick-fil-A and why they're so successful. And there's these tiny, thin little books that comes in a little box. I think you could get it at Chick-fil-A. Amazing read. I think it's just incredible. So In-N-Out taste, Chick-fil-A for business model.
Love it. Here's an interesting stat about Chick-fil-A. People don't know this. I was talking to a general manager. No food at Chick-fil-A sits there longer than 6 minutes. After 6 minutes, pulled, thrown in the trash. Wow. Across the country.
It is amazingly fresh. And look at what the scandals they've been hit with. And then what happens is because of the way they reacted to it and how they did it with grace and honesty and being straightforward, it backfired in their face. You know, the people that wanted to attack them, it backfires in them because everybody that would have technically been a victim turns around and goes, what are you talking about? I love this place. Everyone's so happy and kind. And Gizo. And I absolutely love that organization. They're going to crush it.
Absolutely. Gizo. There's the word Gizo. It's my favorite new word. All right. I pull up Spotify. What's the most listened to song in your Spotify?
You know, I don't have Spotify, but honestly, it would be that sweet one with Phil Collins and the drum solo. What is it? I'm not even going to sing it right now. I don't even remember the name of it, but I love that Phil Collins song. Or maybe a Barry Manilow song, you know? He writes the songs that make the whole world sing. You don't even know how to answer. You don't even know a single
I don't even know how to respond to that.
Yeah. Do you know it? Can you name a single Barry Manilow song? I know
I can't. No.
Copacabana.
No, I can't.
Oh,
Okay.
awesome.
You're not that much older than me either. It just shows how
I'm not.
diverse you are.
I'm 45, so I'm not.
All right, you're 7 years older than me, so you
Yeah.
That's still not Barry Manilow era though, so it's not like that was relevant for you.
I love that Barry Manilow. His hair is flowing.
Okay, 2 more questions. All right, what cartoon character would you spend a day with? If they were real.
Oh man, maybe SpongeBob. I mean, oh gee, Mr. Krabs, what are you doing? Maybe him. Maybe I could do. Who was the guy that was always Pinky in the Brain? Oh gee, Brian, what are we going to do today? Maybe that guy, the taller rat.
We do every day.
Yeah, take over the world. Oh boy. Yeah, pair with those 2 guys.
All right, cool. 2 very intelligent cartoons. I like that.
Yeah. I just want a Krabby Patty.
All right. You got $1,000 to invest today. What do you buy? This is not investment advice.
No, this isn't, but this is what I would do. Honestly, a third in cash to get ready for a deflationary collapse. If it comes, cash is king. To buy more sports cards with, a third into a large cryptocurrency project like Bitcoin, Ethereum. I like Digibyte and XRP. And then the other third in precious metals, because you need a stability and a measurement of wealth. And that's what precious metals are.
Booyah. No Tom Brady's in there.
No Tom Brady's.
I love it. Economic Ninja Man, it's been a pleasure to have you on. I appreciate your time. Everybody go check out everything in the show notes. I'll put all the links for you, but you're the man. Thanks for giving us your Sunday.
You're awesome. Crush it.
All right, man.